could. You could do that as we go along.
What lights?
The cart lights. The cart lights.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no.
What's the name of the lights in Cartagena? What's the name?
Lights.
What's the name of that hotel in Cartagena? Hotel Cartagena? Romancing
The Hotel
romancing the stone. That looks like you're really. That looks just. I don't know what's happening there, but that's scaring the hell out of.
Well, he's trying not to like hit the camera too much. So.
Oh no!
It's the tremors.
Oh no! It's an earthquaker in Denver.
Although I think we had probably unplugged a lot of. Okay,
Hey, what's happening?
you
We're
got-
live, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not just
Is
fucking
this
around
still-
anymore. Yeah, we're close.
Yeah,
enough.
it's
Hey, what's happening, everybody? It's Ike from Flipside
Might
Music,
be
and
a bit
welcome
bright.
to the What the Q.
What the
What the
FAQ?
FAQ. Weekly question and answer show. Me and Dylan sit here. We talk about stuff, and then we play some pedals. And I am here with
Dylan.
previously mentioned Dylan. Yeah, so here we are, in a now overly lit.
Yeah.
Now we're very lit.
We're lit.
Give us another hour, we'll be lit. Bam! What's going on? What the hell's happening here today?
Not an overly eventful week in the world of music, anyway.
Yeah.
Or with us. I mean, we got stuff coming up soon, but not this week exactly. So.
Some exciting Denver news for those of you here
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
yeah,
Denver.
yeah.
Those of you here in the Denver area that are tuning in, which is probably nobody, but it's okay. Maybe there's after the live streams. So the folks that own HQ and the Oriental Theater, which has been there since the 20s or 30s or something like that, I think, which is great because it's in my hood. They have picked up the Federal Theater, which is on Federal Boulevard near 38th-ish, and they are going to make that into a new venue. So I'm super stoked that there's going to be another independent venue available for artists, musicians, and shows, and that one's still within walking distance. A little longer,
Yeah.
but it's
Well,
still
that-
walking distance for me.
That's a great building. So I mean, I'm looking forward to
Yeah.
like, seeing how that turns out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always wanted to go in that.
Yeah,
theater.
I've always
never been
one
in-
I've
I've
always
never been
thought
in
like
there.
I'm like that place would make a great venue. So it's great
Yep.
that it's finally becoming one. So.
And I've basically lived in that neighborhood for almost 20 years, and I'm like, I've never been in there. I knew it was an outreach, like a victory outreach, and then I bought a carpet there once.
It was a church for a little while.
Oh, it'll be a church again.
Yes,
Yeah.
our church.
Church of
Electric
music.
church music. Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember years ago there was like a remnant carpet store on the on the one side next to this.
Remnant carpets.
Remnant, yeah, because
Okay.
they used to sell remnants carpet stores.
No, I get it. It just sounds funny. Like here's a square. Of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how they used to do it. You could go in and buy like a little piece
Just
of
the
carpet.
land. Yeah.
You know, well, people used to do that to put in their cars and shit. They'd
Oh,
cut
okay,
like
okay.
where they needed to replace the thing, and
Yeah.
so. But yeah, that's what I.
Carpet their stage.
Yeah, or well, I talked to the lady yesterday that we got all our carpet from. She's like, "Hey, have you ever been here before?" I'm like, "Yeah, I carpeted my whole building with this stuff." She's like, "Oh yeah, I remember," because they got fake grass,
Oh, okay.
they got turf.
So was that the spot that was the like florist
No, it was a carpet place next to it.
that looked like it was like part of it attached? Like
It was
looked
on.
like
It was one of the
like
little spots on the side.
like the ticket kiosk or something.
No, it was on the side. Because there's like the front entrance and there's like a side thing and a side thing. So I think originally there was like, back in the day they'd have like the theater entrance, and on either side there was like, you could have some kind of a store or apothecary or pharmacy,
Alchemist or
alchemy or bloodletting,
herbalist.
depending.
Or,
Yeah.
Herbalist. Yeah.
So
Bloodletting.
you never know.
Leeches.
Yeah, leeches, bloodletting, whatever,
Whatever you need to get it
Yeah.
done.
What do you got? Bubonic, Black Plague. What do you got? What do you got there? Let me help you out here, kid. You got one of those little schnozzy things, and they for the Black Death.
The plague doctors.
Oh,
They have that schnozzy thing, and they all look like.
I know, like somehow if you mask the scent of it, it's gonna not kill you.
They didn't know shit though. So,
I know.
I mean, they were trying.
They're like, hey, how about we just freak everybody out for the next few centuries with these weird masks? And
How about you just wash and maybe not throw shit in the street?
Yeah.
That's a good way to. It's a good way to not
or
have the
maybe
black
don't sit
plague.
with the bodies in your home for like 2 weeks.
That's good too. I mean, it was mostly the rats that did it.
Yeah. Well, that and people
Well, yeah.
trying to keep the bodies in their homes.
Try to keep the poo out of the streets, kids.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Remember, if all else fails, keep the poo out of the
Yeah,
streets.
if all else fails, keep the poo out of the streets. That's what we gotta do.
Ike's #1 law to civilization: keep the poo out of the street.
Yeah. That's my new platform that
Yeah.
I run for city council. I'm keeping the poo out of the streets. It's like you're trying to fight crime? No. This is a very
literal.
This is a very literal
Yeah.
statement. You know.
Keep your number 2 to you.
Keep your two to you. We can't wipe this away. Hey! Sorry, guys. This is all turned into a shit. It's all turned into a shit story. It happens. Okay, so who's here? Carla's here. Eric Littinger's here. Jay Steen is here. Very cool. Terry, what's happening? Terry says Colorado Avalanche signing Mitch Marner for $14 million a season. Wow.
What is that, hockey ball that he's talking about?
Yeah, it's one of the sports things.
There's puckery afoot.
I didn't even know that's a thing. 14 million, that's a lot.
Yeah, I was just saying the world of hockey. That's a good one there.
Oh, Carpet Church, yeah. Terry says we have the best deals here at Carpet Church.
Carpet church. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't walk all over us. Oh, hey, okay. Dasherly Dave's in the house. Tim White is here. What's happening, Tim?
Oh, Tim, yeah, go ahead, Tim. I'll just say if Doc pops in there, I gotta thank him for the syrup.
He may or may not.
It's good syrup.
I got to bring his guitar in. I keep forgetting. I keep going. I got to bring that in, and then I run late, and I got to walk out of the house, and then one of these days.
I still haven't had blueberry pancakes since that day we talked
Oh, about yeah. Yeah, that was a lot of
Well,
pancake discussions following that.
There was a lot of pancake discussions, and I'm hoping everybody went out and enjoyed some booger.
Some buggers.
Bigfoot videos. See
Oh,
how
there
that, see how that got tripped up a little bit there? Bigfoot videos. And I know that you have, Terry even sent me one too.
Yeah,
so I'm
ever since you mentioned
I
that,
did
they
influence
started
some
popping
people.
up. So yeah, they are pretty funny.
He said he was kidding, but they expecting to fetch on the market July 1st. I don't know. I don't follow sports enough to know who's doing what and what's happening.
Well, it was weird. I was thinking because like maybe it was just being here in the '90s. Like when I was a kid, I felt like hockey was a lot bigger.
Well, I mean, they won in 2000, wasn't it?
Well,
they
yeah,
arrived
it
in
was just-
'96 and won
Oh,
immediately.
Yeah, I was saying they kind of dominated in the
But
'90s for
it was
us for a little
2000
stretch.
when they won, or 2001. Because
Yeah.
I was here.
That was the second.
Because I was here. That's when I first got here. I was working in downtown on Market Street.
Oh shoot.
Yeah, and I didn't know shit about Denver. I mean, literally, I just got here, and I was here training some manager stuff, and I didn't know anything about Denver, and know nothing. And they're in the playoffs, and I'm like, okay, the place is packed. This is great. All right, we're doing. And then they won, and I was like, it's all going. Everybody's going crazy, And because there was people just flooding the streets, and it was madness.
Did you know Dan Highnote?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't.
He was a partier, so a lot of the bar owners and stuff knew Dan.
Oh.
You
Name
gotta be pro level for all the bar owners. You know?
Sounds familiar. I don't know, but we were right there at Market
And a lot
Street.
of people ended up partying with him because
It's in-
of that.
It's entirely possible because that was a blurry portion of my life. Because we did. It was the best of times.
Yeah.
It was the worst of times.
He's like, I don't know, a mic might have slipped in there. I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We used to go. I mean, we had good times, and there was always people in the place because it was Alice Cooper's town. So there was a connection with all the rock star stuff, and so it was a lot of fun. But we had some fun with that stuff. I remember one night we had
so
like
Terry knows the whole little history there. Okay. I did not realize that actually. I think Jacob
Wasn't
apparently
the
knew that
Avalanche
too.
Oh, I definitely knew that.
Yeah, I did not know that. Yeah, I just remember when I
Yeah.
was a kid, it just like it blew up, and as a kid again, I felt like hockey was a lot bigger. Like being a Colorado kid, it felt like hockey was like the main sport, not football, not
Oh,
baseball.
yeah.
It was like hockey.
It's always been football.
Yeah, well, yeah, to a point,
Yeah.
but I mean I'm talking as a mountain kid too, so
Sure.
like because in the mountains, like you could actually play hockey down here. Who knows what city kids were
we
doing,
got
but
we got 1 week a year we could
Yeah,
play hockey on
yeah.
the pond,
yeah,
which was a lot of fun. But
because like in the mountains, hockey was like that was it pretty much.
Oh, High Note was a player.
yeah.
Okay, so I think so. Where did he play on triple or whatever the lower? Okay, Terry, do you know where did High Note play before the pros? Because I know there was some pros that used to play for the Rochester Americans that ended up in the league, and we used to party with them back in the '90s when I worked at like Hooters. Yeah. for those
Also,
of you guys
side
that
note,
don't know.
hockey teams always have like some of the oddest names, because like that's a pretty lazy name when you think about it. It's like, oh, where are we, America? What should we be? The Americans.
Yeah.
It's just-
It was the best part. I mean, that was the best.
Unless it was literally just an FU to Canada at the time, but
Well,
still, that still doesn't.
I don't know. But for us, that was the best. I remember growing up, that was probably the best. The hockey team was important. We had the
Oh,
Rochester
yeah,
Red
okay.
Wings, which weren't, AAA ball. It was okay, but the Red Wings, or the Americans were like I don't know, it was just a little bit different.
Sure.
There was a little bit more power behind that organization, I think. He said, yeah, I think High Note was a center.
It said he played for the Hershey Bears and the Oshawa something, but Oshawa Generals.
Is that why we have chocolate bears?
Could be.
Hershey bears.
I mean,
I'm kidding.
it's in Hershey, PA, where
Yeah,
the
where
Hershey
they-
Yeah.
factory is.
Where they make the candy bars.
Yeah.
I've been there. There's little kisses on the
They
streetlights.
come full circle.
Yeah,
that
there's
like
there's
literally is
little-
the reason we have chocolate bears.
There's little kisses on the streetlights.
Quite,
Um,
I'll look it up.
That'd be funny.
So Tim said he went to Cooperstown a lot when he worked downtown. That's what got me here, and I ran that up until it closed. But that was a weird. So that was a weird situation because we dipped.
This camera's upside down.
So we dipped considerably, and then I came up from Arizona,
There you go.
took over, and we started doing like promotional stuff. We started doing some band stuff. We had a hell of a New Year's Eve party, and sales were starting to creep back up, and we were starting to do well again. But it seemed that internally, that wasn't the overall plan, because there was a managing partner that was a dodgy character. Because Alice, was like his name and stuff, but he wasn't an integral part of the business. So the dodgy character was, I got more stories that go along with that, but I'm just going to leave it as dodgy. And one day I come to work, and we had I think we had Quiet Riot. We were in negotiations. We were going to we had Quiet Riot.
In negotiation.
Well, yeah,
No, I
'cause
know,
we
it
were
just
going
sounds
back
funny.
and forth with contract on it with them, because we were going to do a Valentine's Sucks party. So instead of having like this Valentine's Day extravaganza, everybody's like, oh, it's a great place, get some wine, give me your loved one. We're like, Valentine's Day sucks, let's get Quiet Riot. And so that was, yeah, because they were out touring or something. So we were talking to them and a couple other bands, but we put on like a really killer New Year's Eve party with a bunch of really cool bands at the time, like rock bands that were here in Denver in 2001 or whatever it was. And it was pretty killer. And then I go to work one day, and literally the tax man showed up with a chain in his hand. I remember looking at him like, he's like, I'm from the IRS. We're locking the doors. He goes, you got 10 minutes to get everything you need. Tell your staff, doors will be locked in 10 minutes.
Wow.
I mean, just imagine going to work, just like a normal day at work.
Yeah.
And then all of us, like myself, the rest of the floor staff, and all of the kitchen staff, we ended up at the beer place next door. They closed a couple years ago. It had the sign.
Oh, Falling Rock.
Falling Rock, that's it. So we're all sitting at Falling Rock at like 11 o'clock in the morning, and we're like drinking pints, going,
I guess that happened.
what the fuck do we do now? And they're all looking at me, and they're like, Ike, what do we do? And I go, I don't know. I just lost my job too.
You're like, I don't know. It's not like
Yeah.
you owned the place.
Tell me.
Yeah, I was the GM of the place, and I'm like, I don't know. They're like, what do we do? And I go, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, that is pretty wild.
Well, but what I did do, because I knew the dodgy guy, and I took all the money out of the safe, and I stuffed it in my backpack, and it was considerable.
Because you knew he probably wasn't going
And
to
it
pay
was
them, so.
Yeah, and it was considerable. And I put it in my backpack, and later that day when I got home after being at the bar for a few hours, he goes, oh, make sure you put it in the bank account. And I go, I'm not putting it in the bank account. He's like, what are you talking about? I go, this is an abrupt thing that has happened. I go, and I have payroll. I brought all the payroll paperwork too. I go, I have payroll, and I'm going to pay everybody with the money that's here. I'm going to pay them in cash, so whatever, I'll give you receipts, whatever you need. I go, but it's not going in the bank. Because I knew he would never pay
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
He wouldn't pay me, and he wasn't going to pay them.
Yeah.
So I went home, I did all the paperwork, and we didn't have enough to cover. It wasn't enough to cover the full thing, so I called the other managers, and then I just went through everybody, and I'm like, some of the servers didn't get paid, but they were part-timers or something, and it was like, their check was like $40. I'm like, I'm really sorry, this is all, but I wanted to take care of everybody that worked full-time, the management, and any other full-timer was like the priority top of the list, and I did that, and I was like, and then we're all, Lonnie, that was here.
Oh, Lonnie was
Lonnie
working
one,
there?
yeah.
Okay. Oh,
I
yeah.
still very distinctly sitting with Lonnie, who's a friend of mine, still comes in the shop. He's a bass player. Used to play more, but even I still got friends from those times. But yeah, it was like I'm like, I'm paying these people. Like you can't not pay your taxes, and then
not pay
stiff
us,
us
yeah.
on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah. We did raid the liquor store. We did raid the liquor cabinet before we left too. Though.
Nice.
Yeah, we made sure that we got some sideways compensation on the way out the door. We're like, fuck you, man. Now we're all out of a job.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the story.
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Tim, there's more to the story, considerably more to the story. I gave you very much the abridged version, because there was a lot of wackiness that was going on at the time.
Was Cooperstown where Beta was? Was it in that big, like, 3-story building?
Yeah, it used to be an old chicken processing plant. Smelled like shit in the basement and was spooky.
Well, it's right across the street from Summit, right?
Yeah, right
Yeah.
across the street from Summit.
Yeah.
But it wasn't Summit at the time.
My
Yeah.
parents almost bought that building.
Did
at
they
one
really?
point. Yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it
wow.
was a cool building. It was really,
Yeah.
it was cool.
Like early, before the stadium was there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay, wow.
They're
Yeah,
like, well, what are we going to do with the warehouse?
Well,
Yeah.
make it into something. But yeah, it wasn't Summit, it was some dance club. And I remember the owner of the dance club, I had a meeting with him because we were kind of do with,
Polyester.
maybe, no, I don't remember.
Oh, that was dumb.
But I remember I had a meeting with the guy because he wanted to do some collaborative, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I go sit down with him. I'm like, he was incredibly arrogant. He was a total douchebag, and he was whacked out of his tits on blow. Sorry, kids. I'm sorry. I'm telling the conversation like we're just sitting around.
Yeah, that was your very New York
Yeah.
version of that.
Yeah, and I was like, there's no way that we're doing anything with these people. Because, I mean, the club was they closed, like, soon after we did, and there was a lot of controversy. But it was, yeah, I'm like, no, I don't want any part of this. This is not a scene that this isn't it. It's hard enough running a restaurant and bar in a downtown area. It's like herding, cats on drugs. That was hard enough. I didn't need to collaborate with a place that was just going to be, it was,
Yeah.
but yeah,
That's
it was,
my new band name. For
what, Cats on Drugs? Yeah, it was crazy. I got I got a lot of stories of crap that went down, but I met a lot of really cool people in town because we hosted a lot of bands. Like Sick played, and they were really big back in the 2000s. SOV was a big band.
Oh.
Rexway.
Whoa.
Yeah, Rexway.
S of A, that's a
Yeah, I still see her. I still run into her, Maryland, every now and again.
nice.
Um,
Some Opie? Did you get some Opie Gone Bad in there?
I think we had them in there once, but we had a lot of we had a lot of the local scene was coming through. So that's why we were kind of
Is that
pulling
how you met Rhett? Carolyn's?
indirectly. I met him through Mike from Rexway,
Mm.
who then became Mike River or Thief River,
Yep.
and I'm still friends with those guys too. And it kind of like when I got plopped in here, and somehow I met a bunch of cool people, so that lasted, and you know. So anyway, not like you guys want to listen to me just tell stories about days gone. Did you see back in my day, we used to have this white powder.
And then the cats got a hold of
And then the cats got on it. It was impossible to get them to come to work the next day. They were fine the night before. Yeah, there was a lot of madness going on at that time. Thank God that stuff wasn't my thing, because I saw a lot of goofy stuff. Anyway, there's a lot of goofy stuff I can't say, you know. But anyway,
We'll save that for the
yeah.
the
So Tim,
Patreon
next time,
podcast.
Tim, next time you're in,
You guys can swap.
if you want to ask me any
Stories.
questions or anything, I'll let you know. I'll tell you some real cool stories. Anyway, so what do we got here? Okay, wait a minute. Jay said he worked for AC/DC Jelly Roll and Post Malone shows recently. They were fun shows. I had a friend of mine who went to go see I think Jelly Roll's opening for Post Malone. And it was somebody that I completely didn't think would go to such a thing. And he was like, man, that was really cool. And he's older. Like, he's older than me. And he's like, that was really cool. I'm like, but I mean, I've seen, I've never seen Jelly Roll, but I've seen Post Malone like on television, you know. And I was like, oh, puts on a good show.
Yeah. They're both definitely not my cup of tea, but
No, but I mean, sometimes I'll watch stuff because I got that channel Quello. There's a channel and they play a lot of live concerts, and it's Green Day, Metallica, Justin Timberlake, Billie Eilish, like just everybody and I've sat there and watched and I go, I mean, I watched the whole JT show and I was like, I mean, it was a good show.
That's
I'm
one of the better concerts I've ever seen was a Justin Timberlake.
yeah, I was like, the dude could sing. I mean, all the choreography, all the stuff. I go, I mean, I'm entertained.
Those big shows are totally worth seeing.
Yeah, I was completely entertained, and I was like, this is great. So, I get it. You know, it's not necessarily my thing, but I'm like, it's music. It's cool. Let me check out some stuff I don't know anything about. It was pretty cool. Yeah, he said Jelly Roll opened up for Post Malone. It's $40
I'm looking
cash
forward
plus
to the
60.
Post Malone signature Stratocaster.
Is that a real thing?
No, but it probably will be.
It could be.
it's just like a tattoo sheet from a local parlor just stuck on a guitar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a flash sheet.
Yeah, exactly. The flash.
I mean,
yeah.
didn't somebody? Who's the guy that got the pink guitar?
Steve Lacy, the pink.
No,
the pink-
Machine Gun Kelly or
Oh, that
something.
one.
That guy. I've never heard of.
He
I
has
know
a
the
razor blade
mobster.
guitar, too.
I know the mobster, but I don't know anything that he's ever done.
It's not great. It's fine.
Didn't he play
Maybe I should look.
Tommy Lee in that? I didn't watch it, but didn't he play Tommy Lee in that Motley Crue movie?
I
Pretty
didn't
sure.
wa- I
I'm
didn't
pretty
watch
sure
that
that was.
either.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was something he was in, but I don't. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I just remember somebody made fun of him and he like stopped playing for a while or something. I can't remember the whole story.
I don't know. I'm like, it's just drama nonsense. Who cares?
Yeah.
It's like these people aren't real.
Well, really, especially with that, like it very much seems persona. I mean, I guess all that shit's always a persona, but it's just like it's sad to me that it's still such a thing. Like, I don't know, because I guess I like musicians to be more authentic.
I just prefer them not to be dicks.
Yeah.
Just don't be a dick. You don't have to be a dick.
Sure. I guess Post Malone is like the nicest guy around because everybody loves him.
I've only heard good things. Like, I've never heard anything bad about him. Like, because you read stuff and it's like, oh no, controversy. Rah, rah, rah. It seems like people are like, yeah, he's kind of just like happy that he's gotten this chance to do what he's doing, and he's like,
Oh yeah, it's like
You know.
appreciative of where he's actually at, which for one, which is nice because like a lot of them don't always seem to be, like you can really tell when it to me it's like it's surprising when it's I guess so rare that it ends up standing out, especially in these
Yeah.
days. Because like in this day and age, it's like if you make it to that status, that is beyond unicorn status because it's like the show business industry's obviously always been rough, but now there's just so many more people doing shit.
well, that and the internet and
And the lack of support behind it, so it's like for
Yeah.
you to get that big, like it's a miracle. So, regardless of whatever it is you make.
yeah. All right.
Which I think is country on this tour. I think he did a country.
Is he doing the country?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, that's
Is that,
like,
yeah,
some of these
all
guys
of them
are
are dipping
blending.
that into that now. Yeah.
I mean, I watched him do a live concert on TV, and it was all like grunge stuff.
Mm.
He was playing guitar the whole time, and I'm like,
Oh,
he can play.
Oh, I
Like,
didn't
the
even
guy
know.
can play. Like
Yeah,
he
I know.
actually can play guitar, and he can actually play guitar and sing and do all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's another thing with like JT. It's like, okay, the guy plays guitar. It's like there's
Yeah, he's an actual musician.
yeah, it's the fake musicians that I don't
Yeah,
necessarily always like.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so Terry says he watched a documentary on YouTube about Jelly Roll's first tour across Canada since his record was expunged to do so.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if I got the gist of all that. But yeah, I've heard Jelly Roll's a good dude too, but I mean, So, I don't know. I don't know his story. I don't know what he's all about.
Yeah.
Well, there are a lot of tattoos on the face. That's
Apparently he likes
Yeah.
jelly.
And rolls maybe.
Yeah.
Or the combo thereof, or maybe he's an exclusivist. It's jelly rolls, but not jelly or rolls.
As one.
Yeah, has to be one. When the jelly and the roll become one is when he's.
Oh yeah. Jay said Post Malone Nirvana tribute during COVID. Yeah, it was really good. I agree. I watched it and I was like,
Oh, okay.
that's when I was like, okay, I can't just make fun of this guy. Because I'm like, he actually can do the thing.
Sure.
So. Janice says, poop totally shit. Nope, poop totally slipped my mind. See, I completely read that wrong. This is just turning into
Totally shit my mind.
and but that was my thing from earlier. My big political thing was clean the poop out of the streets.
Yeah.
Keep poop out of the streets.
Yeah.
Keep the poo out of the streets. So
It's like what Ike's gonna leave on a stone somewhere in Georgia to replace those ones that got knocked down.
yeah,
The weird 10 Commandment stones or whatever that got knocked down.
pick up, you gotta pee.
Yeah. I can fill you in on the details on that one
It's
later.
like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
There's poop stones.
No, there were these weird
poop
stones,
hedge?
and like, it was like a weird thing that this guy left. That was,
prophecy stones or something, right?
well, they were supposed to be like the idea was like supposed to be all the core bits of knowledge that the human race would need to survive after
Oh,
something.
and- yeah,
but
yeah.
but somebody ended up destroying it not too long ago. So
Oh,
yeah. But I don't remember because the guy that made it had some wild thoughts though. So.
Mhm.
But I can't remember if it's the same guy that built the Stonehenge replica in Oregon or not. Which, if you haven't seen that, it is actually really cool.
I've always wanted to see Carhenge.
Oh,
Me
yeah,
too,
yeah.
yeah. Where is that?
I think it's in Nebraska.
Maybe I gotta drive through Nebraska.
I don't
I
think
thought it
you
was
do.
New Mexico. I don't want.
I was gonna say,
but
yeah, I
think
thought
I
that,
might be
yeah.
going through there.
What are you gonna get some Runza?
Well, I'm gonna go home. I'm driving home, so
Well, no, I know.
Nebraska's on the way, right? Ish.
If you want
If
it
I
to
go
be.
northern.
If you want it to be, yeah.
If I go see the Grand Tetons first, ooh.
Heyo.
What cities are in Nebraska? What's the hot spots?
Omaha. That's it. That's it.
I mean, you could,
Yeah.
you could go
All right.
to Liberty
All right, maybe
if you
not.
want.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
There's a Hall of Presidents in Kearney.
There's a ball of yarn and
Right.
I'm just kidding.
World's largest ball of twine. I'd stop for that. There was a place called Wall Drugs I stopped at once when I was doing a cross country trip because I've probably done cross country. I don't know, 9 or 10 times. I mean, all the way from like San Diego to New York, and Vancouver to New York. I've done, and I've definitely done Denver to New York. But it's a place called Wall Drugs. It's one of those places like Pedro's. Going down to Florida, there's a place called Pedro's. And for like 300, 400 miles before you get to Pedro's, it's not, there's Pedro signs. And Wall Drug was the same kind of shit. And I remember, and it's out west somewhere, if anybody wants to
Like you're
Google
gonna miss it. That's the shit that always gets me when you're in like Wyoming and there's only one road and there's only one town and there's only one road in that town. How are you gonna miss it? Like,
What's that?
South Dakota.
South Dakota. Wall Drugs in South Dakota. Okay. I think what it is, it's just by the time you get there, you're like, I gotta stop. I've seen 100 billboards and signs. I have to stop at this place now.
yeah.
Because and that was my thought when I was driving. I was in
So
my
now
own.
I have to.
I'm like, I have to stop at this place, and I got me a sarsaparilla, which was,
He's like, which was a little too close to root beer.
right.
If I'm being honest.
I got me a sarsaparilla root beer, or sarsaparilla soda, and
Reminds me of Fallout.
I don't know. I walked around. It was like they had like a ghost town and all sorts of Western shit. So it was pretty cool. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that. Pedro's is the same thing, except it's a giant sombrero. It is. You drive in, it's a giant sombrero. So, that's it. I don't know if it's still there.
All right. So
Anyway, sorry kids.
Pedro's
It's
giant
just,
sombrero.
what's that?
Pedro's giant sombrero.
Yeah, it's a thing. South of the border. Yeah, see? Eric knows what I'm talking about. I'm just rambling today with nonsense, so I don't know, Oh yeah, Lincoln.
yeah, see that's what. Yeah, Tim knows what I'm talking about. The little America signs in Wyoming. Because that's what I mean. Like you're going through. There's no way to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way to miss it. But there's one sign like every couple miles. It's nuts.
And you're like, there's only one
Yeah.
road in and one road out.
Yeah, it's like you're not
no
gonna
way
miss
to,
it.
Yeah, there's no way to miss it. I'm gonna have to go up there. Little America, that's
Yeah,
a place, yeah?
yeah.
So
Again,
what's
you
in
can't
it?
miss it. It's
Again,
just,
you
it's just
can't miss
yeah.
it.
It's actually the little.
Is it like miniature place?
Well, no, they have like this little like village set up where you could stay. I've never actually stayed there,
Is
obviously.
it a
but-
mini village?
No, well, sort of. I mean, it's like not mini, but like it's very small. But they have all these little funny things. They even have like a little church thing in there. But anyway, then they have all these gas stations and all this stuff, and then all these knickknacks and all the Western, like all the Western stuff and all the postcard. It's just one of those places. It's just big.
I might have to go check it out.
Yeah,
On
and I
my way
can't
to-
remember.
On my way to see the Tetons.
Yeah, because like then there's, if you're looking for miniatures, I think is it in Georgetown?
I went to a place called Tivoli in
Can't remember.
Toronto. Or was it Toronto? Or Ontario? Ontario, Toronto? There, Terry. Is it Tivoli still there? He's like, I don't know everything about all of Canada. It's a big
He's
place.
like, I'm one Canadian, okay?
But it's in his area.
Yeah.
It's in Terry's area because I think he's in the Ontario area, and I don't remember if it's in like downtown Toronto or if it was in Ontario.
Tiny Town, that's right. That my mom remembered it. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to see miniatures, Tiny Town. I think it's near Georgetown. But yeah, it's like the whole thing. It's all just miniatures, and I mean like little tiny miniatures.
Oh, well, go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this Tivoli place that I went to when I was like in
Toronto,
high school.
Ontario. Terry's got you.
There you
See?
go.
Is it still there? But it had like it had like the Arc de Triomphe miniature,
Oh, sure.
the,
Okay.
the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Oh, so like all the.
It had
like
all
the-
like
a
the
Big
world.
Ben and-
Yeah, it had
yeah,
all the
okay.
world's stuff just in miniature, and it was pretty cool. You know, not like miniature like that, but like miniature like the
Yeah.
Leaning Tower of Pisa is like 6 foot tall,
Right, right.
which is considerably smaller than the actual tower. For those of you that want, I don't want anybody making a special trip to Tivoli. I'm getting disappointed.
I mean, it doesn't look very big. Everyone's holding it up.
Well, everybody does that move, you know, the classic. Hey, am I in the right angle?
You're just out in the middle of the field, like.
Yeah. Well, I do love the people that take photos of all the people taking photos because it is all just that.
Yeah, all the time. All right, well, let's get going because it's 4:45 and I've just been bullshitting.
Yeah, I
all
was
the
gonna say that. Yeah, at this point.
All
yeah.
I've been doing is telling crazy stories. Unless you want me to just tell stories, I can make up with some other stuff. I could access the files of the other goofy shit.
No, we didn't have anything really new today. I mean, the idea was initially to be one part discussion, one part demo, but we kind of ran out of time for both.
So unfortunately, we've run out of time for both because Ike's over here telling bullshit stories.
But yeah, part of well, kind of.
It's what we do. It's what happens.
Mhm.
You know, I've been cooped up in that office too long,
Well, yeah.
doing office bullshit. Gotta get out here and talk to the people.
Give them what they want.
Yeah.
Bar stories.
Oh, yeah. All right, well, let's play something.
Okay.
Let's play ourselves out.
Well, yeah. Initially, we
You
were
can
just kind of
see
talking
yourself
about
out.
amps in a box. That was initially where this sort of came from. But I don't know. To me, it is one of those things. I mean, I don't know. I'm not even sure where to start with it now. So.
Wait, what now?
So I'm not really even sure where to start with it now. So.
I have a
Like
terrible,
it's-
like, is it Hall & Oates that's like, these lion eyes are watching you.
Yes.
But I have amp in a box is watching you.
Oh, I've seen what you've done.
Yeah.
The mash.
Now
You've done a
yeah.
mashup. Yeah, that's right. It's my amp in a box.
Is watching you.
That's even worse.
That is-
We need to get some software to make that one work. Terry sent a link to Little Canada. This would have probably been like 1982 that I went to this place, or
Wow,
83.
okay.
So I was a wee lad.
There was a. Well, it doesn't matter. You know, I was gonna say there was. I think it was like in Russia, in like the Chernobyl dead zone. There was a place that was like a miniature place, but they abandoned it. And so I remember seeing some photos of it, and it was actually kind of cool because it looked like something out of some like post-apocalyptic movie. Because
Oh,
it's like
it's
all
all-
the minutes,
it's like
it's like all these
ruins,
things, but
yeah.
yeah, everything's all grown in, and it was kind of interesting. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess we'll just start with the Formula F5. Like I said, initially we were the discussion kind of started with that switch gets me every time. Ooh.
Sorry about that.
The discussion kind of started with amps in a box. Obviously, how close are they? And honestly, something that's been more of a thing for me recently would be
Lockbox.
would be where I don't know where you're starting from. Obviously, ends up kind of dictating how close you're going to get. Because if there's some amps you're just never going to steer. Like even if you have a preamp, you're never going to steer it into being something else. But I feel like there are amps that are actually really good at doing that. So like high watts are pretty neutral. There's a fair number of amps out
Yeah.
there that are neutral enough to kind of do it. The revs, I would say, are definitely like the clean channel on the revs.
MiG 50.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of in the basement, and to me, like Basemans and Marshalls will almost never do the Vox thing. Whereas,
Yeah, yeah.
like you have to kind of have an amp that doesn't have like a crazy amount of low end in order for the Vox thing to kind of come through a little more convincingly. Although I would say like Vox's, because they don't get the same representation or the same amount of attention that Marshalls and Fenders do. But I think Vox's going through like bigger cabinets is something that a lot of people haven't tried. But if you get a chance to try, I actually think it's pretty great. Because like Vox's through like a Marshall cabinet sounds pretty amazing. It's just something that hardly anybody ever tries. But.
That makes sense.
But yeah, we'll start with the Formula F5. That's basically a Fender Bassman preamp. We were kind of talking about, like I said, kind of the evolution of those, but like I said, it's a little late now, so I guess we'll just kind of go through those.
We can go a little long if we have to.
Yeah.
So this is the Formula 5, right?
F6, yeah.
Which is a Bassman.
Yes. So kind of the, I mean, I would say the Bassman's probably the, if there's a grandfather to modern amps, that'd be the main one. Or it's the Genghis Khan of amps. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, it does the Bassman thing.
Well, and actually, speaking about that, like, do you guys rate off? I mean, I know some certain, like, some Bassman players, but I'm trying to think of, like, what's the first guy that made a Bassman in particular popular? Because, like, Dick Dale made the Showmans popular.
Yeah.
The Ventures, I mean, the Ventures might be in contention for that, because they're the first ones I really remember with Bassmans, like, all over the stage. But I wasn't alive then, so I can't say if like that was the first time that
I mean,
happened.
Stevie Ray used the Bassman.
Yeah, but I'm trying to
Too,
think of
so-
like '60s, like
But
who's
I
the
don't-
guy
you
that
know,
like,
he wasn't the one that.
yeah,
I think he just grabbed one and went. You know?
Right. yeah. I'm kind of curious who made the Bassman a thing. Because obviously you could almost say that the first Marshalls made Bassmans even more famous.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it was based.
Maybe Buddy Holly.
But okay, interesting. Okay, I can see that. Not the right time. So that's kind of lower gain, higher gain. It's actually gainier than I remember.
Yeah, a little bit.
Alright, so obviously the Bassman kind of started things and then eventually got made into the first Marshalls, which were initially like the Plexi stuff. To me, again, and actually I think somebody just put that in there. Yeah, a lot of Marshall models, like you could have 5 different models of the same amp, and a lot of them do actually end up sounding pretty different. Because to me, Marshalls too, and I think Jacob was kind of getting at this earlier when we were talking about it, like what's your definitive Marshall tone or Plexi tone, I guess? Like what's the one that for you personally comes to mind first?
I mean, I think it's probably. Yeah, probably like the AC/DC type stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of
It's
saying. Like
where-
for
I
me,
mean, that's
AC/DC
kind of like
and Paul Kossoff with Free, like to me, like those are kind of that crunch.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the
that's
stuff
the-
that
yeah.
kind of reminds me of like because it's not over gainy,
Mm-hmm.
but it's, like
Driven,
it's
and crisp and crunchy
Yeah,
and
like,
yeah.
yeah. That's the stuff I probably
Yeah. Well, because like
that kind of comes to first. Yeah.
yeah, because like with the JMP and the 74, obviously both of those are going for like that whole mid 70s up until the switch over. But like to me, like the JMPs and like the plexi stuff, the super lead, super basses, like all that stuff, it's I don't know. There are so many players that used it, but there are certain ones to me that are like, I guess AC/DC to me is like one of the more perfect examples of it, because it's like to me it's like a lot of the tones in like even the 80s, a lot of them were still souped up plexis at one point, or at least a lot of the early, because like
The earlier stuff,
Yeah.
I think so. And then once the JCM 800 kind of
yeah, then it kind of changed.
landed, then it
Yeah.
all became that,
Yeah,
scoopy thing.
yeah.
Higher gain,
Yeah.
more.
But to me, yeah, the Marshall thing is in the mid range, like that crunchy, crispy
Mm-hmm.
mid range, because like that's where like because Jacob was saying he'd been on kind of a Dumble exploration thing, and like to me, Dumbles have like an overwhelming amount of low mid, so they end up being kind of creamy, whereas like Marshalls to me are almost, other than maybe some of the like more classic like JTM 45 style ones, a lot of the like the JMP or mid 70s ones like super lead, super basses, a lot of those have more of an edge to them, like a crisp kind of crunch to them.
I agree.
Yeah, and that's another one too. Like I would say,
Because they always sounded like, a lot of those sounded, mid-rangey.
Yeah.
Right in that center kind of cut through kind of type sound, if that makes sense.
hmm yeah, I mean to me, because like especially with AC/DC, like it almost sounds like the speakers are gonna rip.
Yeah.
Like you can hear almost like the tactile sound of it, whereas
Well,
it's
I mean,
like
they
a
were,
little.
that was all volume too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
It
because
was
you're
just-
hearing the speakers as much as you are the amps with them. But
Yeah.
Those aren't as gainy as you think they are.
right.
Oh, yeah, they're not. But that was
Yeah.
part of the whole AC/DC thing, is that the shit was just cranked,
Yeah.
and they were pushing.
Well, to be honest, that's something I personally like. You mentioned Hendrix. Like, I personally struggle. Like, I don't know if you can get that. Like, because his Marshall clean tone is still kind of crispy or a little edgy. But it's like, it's one of those things, like, I've never actually heard that come out of an amp that wasn't that size. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like whenever people try to emulate that, like they get reasonably close, but nobody ever gets that. Same thing actually, even to a point with Stevie, where it's like it's the cleanest driven tone you've ever heard.
Well, it's very.
And it's 'cause, like,
with
you can
Stevie,
hear
it's
all of
definitely
it.
you can hear
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the thing, is you can hear, even on the low notes,
Yeah.
it still cuts through with him, but it's
Well, and
you know,
Stevie's
they're-
even cleaner, obviously being with like Fenders and Dumbles and some of those, but like Jimmy's clean tone, because like especially when he's using like the Univibe, a lot of times he's pulling the gain back so you can hear a little bit more of what the amp's doing.
Mhm.
And to me, like it just has this sound that's just you really can't get out of anything that's small. Like it just doesn't do the thing.
it needs to be a giant.
Yeah, because like even recorded, it just doesn't come across the same way. And I think it does have to do with that sheer amount of volume.
Do you think that's then like what the crispiness you're talking about is the tubes, the power tubes?
Yeah, I think
actually
it's like
starting to,
the tubes, and honestly,
And
especially with
speaker.
AC/DC, I would say it's the speaker, like because
Mhm.
like they are about to bust those speakers.
Yeah,
so
they,
it's
they
like
feel like they sound
yeah.
like they're hanging on for dear life.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of those tunes, it just sounds like
Well, and I think that's
You
some
know.
of the fun, like with AC/DC, like to me, especially the Bon Scott era, like that's part of the fun. Is like you literally, it sounds like the whole band is about to explode.
well, that's kind of like when we were playing last week or a couple weeks ago when we were playing with the JMP.
Mhm.
Remember we were playing? I'm like, I bet you that sounds great loud. And like after we got done with the stream, we turned it up a little bit and we're like, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
it's
and
better.
It does. It
It's
definitely
just
hits the
better
spot,
louder.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, and maybe that is because, like, different frequencies come across differently at different volumes, especially when it comes to the efficiency of whatever you're kind of pumping them out of.
Mhm.
And so I think maybe it is one of those things of, like, when you're at a certain volume with certain things, though that's, that volume does kind of work its way in, because, like, I think a lot of people, especially these days, I don't want to, I mean, everybody's kind of going smaller, quieter amps, so I feel like there's a want of everybody to say that like it sounds just as good, and it can to a point.
But it's not.
But
like
it's
you're
not the
standing-
same thing.
It's
like,
not
yeah.
like you're standing in front
Yeah.
of a stack.
Yeah,
Well,
like no matter how much, like you can't make a Princeton sound like a full stack. You just
No,
can't. Like
it's
you
not
can make
gonna
it sound good, but you can't make it sound
And is that sound versus feel?
right.
'Cause,
Yeah,
like, maybe
yeah, that's
it
true
does
too.
sound right, but like it doesn't have the feel, the impact.
Right, right.
Right.
And yeah, and I would say that's too because we were kind of getting into that with the pedals too about like the ones that feel right versus sound right versus the ones that have both. And like to me, like that is where like Lawrence's Marshall pedals in particular, that's where the like the dividing line for me is like I don't want to say that other ones are not worth playing, but for me at this point, like his nail the feel and the
Yeah,
sound.
you get both of what you.
Yeah,
you
and
get
so
what you. You kind of get what you want out of it.
right, yeah,
know
you
what I mean?
get the
Like,
whole thing
like
and
the
like
feeling wise too.
people that are Marshall fanatics like his pedals. So like to me like those if those guys can concede that like it feels and sounds right, then you're like that's about as close as it gets. But again, what depending on what you're pumping it through, like that can really change that whole feel thing too. Because you know sometimes you do like we were talking about earlier, like what you experience as the player versus the listener.
Yeah.
And even to your own stuff, even to your, like listening back to your own stuff, it's so different because your brain can only take so much in when you're also trying to like coordinate your fingers and your everything you're trying to do, you're trying to execute properly. So therefore, you can't listen as good as
And
you are when you're
sometimes-
just listening. But,
Well, yeah, I agree with the just
Yeah.
listening part. But it's funny because I don't know if you've ever just like you set up a thing and then you like move 6 feet
Mhm.
over in the room and you're like now it sounds different
Mhm.
because it's just bouncing around differently. Or you know, because I've done that at home. Like I'm going through the stuff and then I'm like, yeah, that sounds really good. I'm like, oh, let me put the wireless on it and I'm gonna just walk out a little bit over here and I go, I don't know if that sounds exactly like that. Didn't sound like what it was in the front of the thing. Does that
Mhm.
make any sense?
yeah. Well, no, I mean,
You
I think
know.
it because I think I told Jacob about it. That dude James Lill did a series of videos where he was kind of trying to get to the bottom of like where does the tone in an amp come from? Is it like are you experiencing it from the speaker? Are you experiencing it mainly from the preamp? Is it a fusion of both? And when he was getting into the speaker cabinet part of it, like that part was pretty interesting because he was just saying like a lot of our recorded tones, it's always for the most part it's always mic'd up very very close.
Yeah.
And it's like you're never actually, as like a regular listener, you're never gonna be like listening to your favorite band with your
Like
ear
that.
right up on the like it's just that's not how it's gonna work. So your perception of that versus how they perceived it in the room are just two totally different things.
Well, I saw a video the other day, and I don't know if it was a Shure video, where they had like a 57 mic'd up, and then they had another one right next to it, and then they've moved,
that
and they were
story.
moving it back and moving, and you could see at the same time they had like a 3D sound wave going.
Oh,
And
like
you
a
could
It was
see,
like
yeah.
a phase thing,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, and it was really cool to kind of see how and you can hear, like just as you, and of course,
Like just
the,
moving
the
things
best
around a little,
position
yeah.
was cone, basically, like right
Yeah.
right, almost right there, because everywhere they moved it and how they moved it back, it was like, it just changed everything considerably,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's just so many parts and pieces to all this
So many.
that I don't know. I think the guys that like play out a lot just go, this is what works, and I might play tomorrow night in some shit club, and it's not going to sound as good there because of the room or whatever the case may be. It's like, oh, it's got weird ceilings or whatever.
Well,
the
and I
case may
mean
be.
that is a point too. Like a lot of the guys that are running with like the digital rigs, like they kind of they're at the mercy of whatever PA they might be happening to go through, and like that can be wildly different too. So to me, like it is kind of a. I mean, I guess it just depends on what part of the, how much do you value what you sound like, and how much trouble is that worth?
Yeah.
Because like that's what I like to me with a lot of pedals, like especially like if you're getting into pedals, having a platform amp is kind of I don't want to say it's the only way to go, but like it's the smarter way to go so that you can kind of explore a wider range of pedals. But there's a lot of people that might really already just love their amp and all they need is just an overdrive just to push it, and like
Yeah.
they're fine with that, and
Or
that's
they
all.
want a
And,
little
yeah.
delay or
Yeah, it just
or
depends on
something
like how
that.
much you want to explore and how much you want to, Because I mean, like I said, I think the thing with the amp in a box thing is a lot of times I think people always buy them expecting this wild transformation with their rig, and it's like if your rig isn't like I was talking about earlier, if it's not neutral enough, or if you're not pumping it through something that's really adequate, you're not going to quite get that experience that you might be looking for. Not completely, anyway.
Right.
Because I mean, like it's an amalgam of all the stuff that you accumulate, not just one thing that's gonna tip it over the edge. But
And you got to be able to work your pedals too, and not just be like, oh, I'll just plug it in and I'm going to instantly be, I'm instantly so and so, or I'm going to instantly have a thing. You still got to tweak. I mean, we work with people that it's like you kind of got to know what you're playing with a little bit to dial in or dial out what the tone you're looking for.
You're not going to buy a tube screamer and instantly sound like John Mayer. There's a bunch of other things involved.
right,
Yeah. Or Stevie Ray Vaughan. You're not gonna buy a tube screamer and all of a sudden you're Stevie Ray Vaughan. It's just no.
Well, and those
I'm
those
gonna-
two particular dudes, like you could almost argue that's the least effective portion of the rig would be that.
Yeah.
Whereas like there are other players where like the pedals are that is like the heart of what that guy sounds like. It are those pedals. So it's like because it kind of depends, kind of like I was saying, like platform versus guys that are just rolling with their amp. It's like depending on what you want to do with it. Because to me, like Twins, even though they're great and they're loud and they're clean, they don't accept everything well. Because like fuzzes are one, like I have a hard time with fuzzes on Twins. It's just I can't ever get the amp at a reasonable volume. I can't ever get the amp where I would want it to have that interaction of the amp with the fuzz. It's just always like it's almost like Twins are fighting to stay clean. And then like to me, like there's other amps, like even like since we use the D20s and the D25s all the time, they're nice because like you can kind of get the gain isn't really, it's not like it's just saturating the hell out of it. It just gets it right up to that edge of where that if you hit it with a pedal, it's gonna cave in.
It's gonna go right in and then you're good. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it just depends on what you're trying to get out of stuff. Because like I said, I think we get a lot of customers that are always expecting amps in a box to like literally turn
change everything around.
Yeah, like they're gonna turn their little 1x8 combo amp into a into a full stack.
Yeah, your champ is not gonna be. It's not gonna be a Mesa Boogie or something.
And I would have to say, like now is the best time there's ever been when it comes to preamp pedals, because there's so many people doing so many things that have gotten so much better just in the last like 5 years even.
And they are so wildly different that if you're trying to search for your tone, you can find it.
Yeah.
For
Well,
sure.
and I wouldn't shy away from like if you have a chance, like coming into a place like our shop, you would have a chance to try. Like if you want to try half a dozen Marshall pedals, you can, and like find the one that works for you, not necessarily the one that your research said was the best.
Right. You got to listen to it and kind of see what.
Because like you might find that works better for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we had a guy come in looking for a bass chorus today, and he had the Boss bass in mind, and he tried a bunch of other things, and he was like, "Well, that does the thing, but these are cooler."
Yeah. Yeah.
And ended up with an Old Blood chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like when you're looking for what makes you happy rather than what made some internet review happy, like you're gonna be more satisfied in the end. So.
I agree. All right, I think we probably should.
Yeah, we can wrap it up.
10 minutes. Wrap it up. So today was mostly discussion.
Yeah. Not a lot of
And
playing.
and a little bit of shite playing. So other than that, if you guys haven't already gone over to check out our friends at Texas Toast, go over there and then go to Dylan Talks Tone after that. And we'll catch you guys on the flip side.